G'day everyone, and welcome to another episode of me building my model railway. Hey, you excited? No? Not really? Didn't think so. Come on. Alright, so in this episode, we're going to continue building this new module for my model railway. Now, since last time, I've had a little bit of a play around. I've started doing the ground cover. Now, I bought some sculpted mold from Modelworks, which, if you are after it, you have to order it into the store near you. It doesn't look like any store in Australia actually carries it on hand. But I live in Melbourne and I got it within about 24 hours of placing an order. Anyway, I've kind of started just a little test piece over the side here where I knew it's just going to get landscaped. Pretty easy to work with. Mix it up, painted it, and then did some ground cover and a light layer of grout and a light bit of static grass. I am going to get some longer static grass. Hopefully I can pick some up before the end of this video and I will have all of the front static grassed. Now, I've picked up a good shed. This one is one of the new products from Roundhouse Models in Melbourne, which if you want to check out their website, it's roundhousemodels.com.au. I've got that, it's a 50-foot Victorian Railways goods shed. So I've got to prime that and do a few other bits and pieces and get it just a little bit more up to scratch. It needs just a little bit of work and it'll be all good. I've got some buffer stops from them as well and a couple of other bits and pieces. As well as that, I picked up some Will's point rodding kit from Branchline in Melbourne, which I'm gonna hopefully have installed in this episode as well. So I guess where we're up to and what we're gonna try and do in this little video, and like I said, I'm trying to get these out monthly or at least as often as I can, just to give you all a bit of an update of what I've been up to, what's going on, all that kind of thing. I guess my aim for this video is to get the sculpted mold down, get a ground cover on it, and if I can get some static grass down so it looks nice and it's presentable and ready to be ballasted. Also, I did paint the MDF brown. I used an oil-based paint, I believe it was, an acrylic oil-based paint, just to seal it, just so it doesn't swell up. Anyway, that's what I've been up to and that's where I'm up to. So now we're gonna, we'll mix up some sculpted mold and get some ground cover down and do all that fun stuff, all that dirty stuff. Anyway, let's get to it. Right, so it's now the end of the month and this is what I got done. So I guess to start with, we've now got static grass laid across the entire layout. I started with a base of the sculpted mold, which was very easy to work with. So basically making up the sculpted mold was pretty easy. You just make it into a paste, kind of thick paste, put it down, let it start to cure or set. And then once it is, starting to dry out a little bit, what I did, wet your finger and you can kind of just smooth it into terrain. And it's pretty easy to work with. For something that is plaster based, it wasn't actually that messy. And I do know that you can make your own, but honestly, I don't want to spend time on it. So I just bought some, but there are videos out there on how to make your own scenery base. Anyway, once it was down, I painted it brown just to hide any plaster that may somehow show through eventually. So next I put down the grout and dirt mixture. Now for the grout, I just used a couple of different colors from Bunnings and I mixed it together with some leftover ballast. The reason I did that was to give it a bit more texture. Now I watch Boylai Hobbies and Geek Gaming Scenics and they do a similar thing. They'll mix in either real dirt or sand with grout and then put it on their, boards. They do wargaming and dioramas. Now once it was down, I set it down with some Mod Podge watered down and let it set. Once it was set, I painted it. Now I painted it using acrylic paints watered down with, also I put a little bit more Mod Podge in it just so I made sure everything was gonna set down. So I changed the color of it all to a dirt color, I guess, and you can change it to whatever you want. And for me, this worked absolutely fine. I know there are other ways to do it and this isn't a tutorial on how to do things, it's just the way I did it and I'm pretty happy with the results so far. Anyway, that gave me the ability to have different colors, different highlights, things like that. And then while that glue was still wet, I put down some ground cover, some coarse turf, just for the first stage of having that grass build up. So this layout, I guess, is kind of set in Victoria and I'm thinking, I don't know, almost how it is now in this kind of winter time where the grass isn't really green. I don't know about where you guys are, but my grass is half dead and half alive, and I kind of went with that with this. So the grass, I used a static grass applicator. Now I used static grass tack to get it stuck down. When I ran out of that, instead of going to the hobby shop, because unfortunately where I live, there isn't one nearby or super close, I just used some Mod Podge and it seems to have worked absolutely fine. I don't know if that's good or bad advice, but it worked and well, here we are. Anyway, I built it up, which is something I got off Geek Gaming Scenics, who, if you haven't checked out his channel, it's excellent. I know it's on Wargaming, but yeah, I take a lot from his videos. Anyway, I used like a 2mm, got that stuck down. While it was nearly dry, I put down some more glue. I put down a 5mm, I think, and a 6mm, and then I put down some 7mm as well. And I blended in different colors in the different heights. So I used some Woodland Scenic static grass. I also used some ground up scenery static grass just because they had some different colors and it was what was available at the time. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with how it looks. Obviously, if you have any feedback on what you think it looks like, leave it in the comments, but I'm pretty happy with it. I'm much happier coming into a room where I've got something that looks, yeah, a lot nicer than just a piece of brown MDF. All right, so other things that I got done. I made a little car park in front of the goods shed. It's just more ballast mixed in with the grout, and I didn't paint it. I left it the kind of colors it is, so it gives off that kind of gravel car park. Next to the station, there is also another little car parking area, which I'll probably build up with some grass tufts and things like that when I get around to it. I put in the buffer stops. Well, I haven't really put them in. I've put in the buffer stops from Roundhouse Models. So I haven't painted them yet, but they come with a little template so you know where to drill in and so you don't mess it up. So they're both in there, so rolling stock doesn't roll away. Not that it was rolling away, it's just now it won't because it can't go anywhere. And yeah, I guess what's next? Hopefully with the AMROT exhibition at Caulfield this month, which I hope you're all coming to, I can hopefully pick up some ballast. Now, I don't want to go with the Woodland Scenics ballast again, as I just didn't like it. I've seen products from people like Matt's Ballast, which I've noticed is quite hard to get at the moment. I don't know if he's still around, but he was using real ballast and crushing it up into a HO scale. And that's what I think I'll go with, something that's a bit more prototype. But at the moment, no ballast, and I think that'll hopefully be next because that should at least tie it all in together. Not to make it look finished, but to give it a bit, make it just a little bit more presentable. As well as that, I wouldn't mind. I still haven't got any of that textured paint to do the platform, and I think I will eventually change the station building, but at the moment it's absolutely fine. Now, the next kind of thing I've got to do as well. So if ballast isn't next, if I don't get any this month, I guess I will hopefully try and work on the buildings during the next month or couple of months. So like I said at the start, I picked up a goods shed from Roundhouse Models in Melbourne. That is available on their website. It's 3D printed, so I've still got to paint that and do a couple of other bits, but at least there's a building there now and it looks a lot nicer. I also didn't get time to do the point rodding. I think that is probably going to end up being an entire video on its own. It looks a little bit more complex than I thought it was actually going to be. So once I get them painted and out of the box, I think I'll just make, I guess, a standalone video on the Wheels Kits point rodding. I also have these. These are custom 3D printed parts from ABR Modelworks. Now, ABR Modelworks, if you do want anything from them, you can use a discount code on their website, which is AMRN22 for 10% off any order. Anyway, I got these off them. There's like fuel tanks and, building bits and pieces. So that'll probably end up going in the goods shed and around the layout. So that'll be pretty cool. As well as that, in the front corner here, you can probably see this little building just behind me. It's an old Eureka Models kit. And I think I'll turn that into like a little farm storage shed. So I think there'll end up being a little fence running around the back and a little track leading up to it. And they'll have bits and pieces of farm equipment around it. As you see, at least in Victoria, in a lot of places, you still see old railway carriages, the old four-wheel railway carriages and things like that being used as storage. So I think that'll make for a fun little scene in the front. In terms of things I picked up this month, which is something I guess I will add to these videos, I picked up a little Tirana, which I picked up at Train World. It's made by Road Rages. They make Australian and other countries, but they make Australian model cars in HO scale, which is grouse. And yeah, it's something I will probably collect a few more of, because I also bought a motor rail trailer, which I picked up at Branchline. Now these are from Precision, and they came in packs of 4, I think. And I didn't want to buy 4. And Branchline in Croydon happened to have an open pack, and they were just selling these individually. So I grabbed one because the Overland set will be coming out soon. And these ran with the Overland, and I only need 1. So that was a pretty good get. That'll be fun to get some cars for, which is kind of the reason I bought the Tirana, but I also just like the way it looks. So that was a pretty good get. I also did a little bit of work on my R-Class. I've got a Eureka R-Class that I get messages about every now and again, because for some reason people want to see a review on it. If that is something you want to see, I guess I can make one. I don't really want to, because it's been out for the last, I think the model came out in like 2008, 2009? Anyway, it's not the best model in terms of power, but I don't know. I added a couple of things to it. I put the Andean driver and fireman in it. I actually glued them in, so they've now got a permanent crew, which I was pretty happy about. It makes it look a lot nicer. I think you should always put a crew in your cabs. I also painted the wheels black. So that seems to be a pretty common thing people do with that model. So yeah, here's what it looks like without the wheels painted, and here's what it looks like with the wheels painted, and I think it looks a lot nicer. So I was pretty happy with that. I know that model does need a lot more work. It needs to be weighted down. I need to change a couple of things so it doesn't, basically so it pulls better. And I wouldn't mind changing the speakers eventually. But for now, at least it looks a lot nicer, and considering it doesn't really have to pull, well, there's no grades on this layout. It's not the end of the world. But yeah, that's something else I did. And the last thing, I've been getting a few questions about the 2 new picture and posters behind me. One is from OzSteam88, which has got all the steam locomotives that came out, including the Flying Scotsman. And the other is a schematic of Maryborough Railway Station. So I've had a few questions about that during the week on my social media, so hopefully that answers that question for you. Anyway, that's enough of me rambling on. That's what I got up to this month, and hopefully next month will be, well, hopefully I'll have a bit more to bring you. But thank you so much for watching up to this point. If you haven't already, don't forget to be subscribed, because I do enjoy making these videos, and obviously I keep trying to make more. And yeah, anyway, if you have any feedback, leave it in the comments below, and I will see you all again, hopefully at the Caulfield exhibition this month. Otherwise, I'll see you all again really, really soon for another video. Hooroo!